What's up, YouTube? Zero here. And today I have an amazing Buzzwole, Kartana, and Celesteela deck in Pokemon TCG Pocket. In this video, I'll go over the deck build that you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. I'll talk about each of these cards individually, and I'll talk about why this deck combination is absolutely fantastic, and you should be checking it out. Before I get into it, I do want to say if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG content. I do a bunch of other video games, so feel free to check those out as well. Without further ado, time to talk about Buzzwole and this Ultra Beast deck. First, let's get into the man of the deck, Buzzwole EX. Buzzwole has two moves. One, Punch, for 2 colorless energy, deals 30 damage. And the next one, it's going to be his bread and butter move, Big Beat. For 3 energy, 2 of which are grass energy, 1 is colorless, 120 damage. However, during your next turn, Buzzwole cannot use Big Beat. Now there's going to be a caveat to that, and it's going to be provided by Celesteela, but I'll talk about that in a second. Buzzwole is going to be found in the extra dimensional crisis packs if you are looking for him, if you haven't been able to unlock him yet. Next, let's talk about Kartana. Kartana is a very interesting card because it's only 1 grass energy for Thrash Metal to deal 40 damage. That's absolutely awesome, being a basic Pokemon. The hope and the dream for Kartana is you draw Kartana with your initial hand. You could put it in that active slot and start dealing 40 damage right off the start of battle. That's pretty awesome for only 1 grass energy dealing 40 damage. You're really getting a lot of damage on your opponent really quickly with Kartana. So that's why I like Kartana in combination with Buzzwole and Celesteela. Kartana can really deal a lot of damage while you're hopefully having that Buzzwole EX on the bench, building up energy on it so you can get to Big Beat. Kartana is a fantastic starter card for really any grass energy deck. Like I said, 1 grass energy for 40 damage on a basic Pokemon is awesome. You're dealing a lot of damage right away, which is going to put your opponent on his or her heels, so they're gonna have to react and hopefully find a way to defeat you while you're dealing all of this damage and also building up energy on your Buzzwole on the bench. Kartana is also going to be found in the extra dimensional crisis packs. Now let's talk about the last Pokemon in this deck. That's right, I only have 6 Pokemon in this deck, all basics, and it's going to be 2 of each of them. So the last Pokemon in this deck, one that you use for its ability and not its attack, is Celesteela. So Celesteela has for 3 colorless energy, Moonbatoon for 100 damage. You flip a coin. If tails, the attack does nothing. So that's really not a great move. It's 3 colorless energy, and you have a 50-50 chance of whether you're going to hit for 100 or 0. Celesteela is also going to be found in the extra dimensional crisis packs, but the reason why it's in this deck is for its ability. Ultra Thrusters. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Ultra Beast with one of your benched Ultra Beasts. So this is a free switch with Celesteela, which is absolutely awesome for several reasons. 1, you can potentially save one of your Pokemon from fainting. If you have a Pokemon in that active slot, Buzzwole, Kartana, or another Celesteela, and it is or has the potential of fainting due to lack of HP, it's been attacked a lot, you can pull it back with a free switch in with a Pokemon on your bench to that active slot. Of course, it has to be an Ultra Beast, but all 3 of these Pokemon are Ultra Beasts, and you can potentially save it, barring any cards your opponent has, such as a Cyrus or a Sabrina, which is really nice. On top of that, and this is where this combination really comes into play, Ultra Thrusters, you can switch your active Pokemon, your active Ultra Beast, with one of your benched Ultra Beasts. If you have 2 Celesteelas on the battlefield, you get an opportunity to switch twice. Well, why does this really matter? I mentioned earlier that Buzzwole EX has Big Beat for 3 energy. During your next turn, the Pokemon can't use Big Beat. However, if you switch it to the bench with Celesteela, or any other means, if you retreat, let's say you retreat, you have 5 energy, you decide to utilize 2 of those energy to retreat, and then you use Celesteela to put it back into that active slot, moving Buzzwole to the bench negates that during your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Big Beat. So that means once you switch it out, and then switch it back to the active slot, you are going to be able to attack in consecutive turns, ignoring the effect of Big Beat not being able to attack. So Celesteela, if you have 2 of them, you can switch Buzzwole to the bench and then back to the active slot, and you can continue utilizing Big Beat. That's why Celesteela and Buzzwole EX are a perfect combination. You're going to be able to attack with Big Beat every turn, as long as you're able to switch it to the bench and then switch it to the active slot, because switching it to the bench negates that effect. So that's really awesome and a really great combination of these 2 Pokemon. So the hope and the dream of this deck is you get Kartana in that active slot, you start attacking with Kartana, you have 1 Buzzwole on the bench that you're building up energy on, and you're able to get 2 Celesteelas onto the playing field. So once that Buzzwole is in the active slot, you can switch it out, switch it back in, and just keep attacking with Big Beat. So that epic combination just requires 6 Pokemon. But let's talk about all of the other cards in this deck which enhance it even further. Pokemon communication is going to be important in this deck. As I mentioned, the hope and the dream, Kartana in the active slot, 1 Buzzwole on the bench, and 2 Celesteelas. Well, if you need another Celesteela, Pokemon communication is going to be there to help you. You may not need one of the other cards that you draw. You may not need 2 Buzzwoles on the playing field. You may not need 2 Kartanas. Let's try and get those 2 Celesteelas, so let's utilize Pokemon communication. Or maybe you already have a Kartana and 2 Celesteelas on the playing field. You have another Kartana in your hand and you want to get a Buzzwole. Utilize Pokemon communication for that. So Pokemon communication is going to be really nice to getting the Pokemon that you need. For those of you who don't know, Pokemon communication, you choose a Pokemon in your hand and you switch it with a random Pokemon in your deck. And this is going to be found in the Space-Time Smackdown Dialga packs. Now, some of the basic cards: Pokeball, you draw a random basic Pokemon from your deck to your hand. Professor's Research, you draw 2 cards. Those are some of the basics that are found in almost every deck. Next, let's talk about Lusamine. Lusamine is going to be a fantastic card. You can't use it unless your opponent has gotten 1 point. However, if your opponent has gotten 1 point, you choose one of your Ultra Beasts and you attach 2 random energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. So, of course, there is a caveat. You have to have energy in your discard pile, so you can take it from your discard pile and attach it to your Pokemon. However, this can turbocharge one of your Pokemon, so you can start attacking right away. Maybe you had a Buzzwole that had all 3 energy on it. Your opponent was able to take it out. Well, now if you put another Buzzwole on the playing field, you can utilize Lusamine, take 2 of those grass energy from the discard pile, put it on your Buzzwole, and then take 1 energy from the energy zone and attach it to your Buzzwole. And your Buzzwole is already equipped to attack on that next turn. You don't have to worry about building up all of that energy again. You can just take the energy from the discard pile and attach it on your Buzzwole so you're ready to attack. Lusamine can be critical towards the end of game when your opponent takes out a Pokemon that has a lot of energy equipped and you don't have energy on any of your other Pokemon. You have all Ultra Beasts in this deck, so Lusamine is going to work with all of these Ultra Beasts and can really save you when you come down to the end of games where your Pokemon with all of the energy equipped was taken out. All of that energy is now in the discard pile. Lusamine is going to take 2 of that, attach it to whichever Pokemon you need it on, and you can start attacking right away. Because if you look at all of these Pokemon, none of them require more than 3 energy on them. So you can utilize Lusamine to take 2 energy from the discard pile, utilize 1 energy from the energy zone, and you're going to be ready to attack right away. It's going to be awesome and critical to defeating your enemies, especially as the battle continues and goes towards the end of battle. Lusamine is also going to be found in the Extra Dimensional Crisis packs. Now, Erica is pretty basic for grass decks, but it's important for grass decks for survivability. Erica, you heal 50 damage from one of your grass Pokemon. So you can potentially save your Kartana and heal up most of his HP, or you can heal up a lot of Buzzwole EX's HP for 50 HP, which is really nice. Erica is going to be found in the Genetic Apex Charizard packs. Next, let's talk about Leaf Cape. Leaf Cape is awesome for grass Pokemon. The grass Pokemon that Leaf Cape is attached to gains 30 HP. This can either put your Kartana up to 90 HP, and to start the match, that's really nice, 90 HP on a basic and dealing 40 damage. Or you attach it to your Buzzwole, and your Buzzwole goes from 140 HP to 170 HP, which is really going to clear a lot of breaking points for Pokemon that could potentially KO you. Buzzwole itself, just using it as an example, deals 120 damage. If your opponent has a red, that's up to 140. You clear that breaking point with the Leaf Cape. And of course, there are a lot of other Pokemon. Giratina deals 130 damage. Mewtwo deals 150 damage. You're clearing a lot of breaking points with the Leaf Cape on your Buzzwole, so you can survive at least 1 hit. So Leaf Cape is absolutely awesome. Coupled with Erica that can re-heal all of your HP, you're going to survive a lot with Leaf Cape in this deck. So I have 2 of them, and they're going to be found in the Celestial Guardian Solgaleo packs. Last but not least in this deck, I have Sabrina. I'm really coming to love Sabrina more and more with the release of new cards, with new decks being formed, because Sabrina is always trustworthy. Sabrina can do so much for a deck, it's unreal. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sabrina, you switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench. Your opponent gets to pick which Pokemon they switch into that active slot. However, Sabrina can do multiple, or provide multiple reasons to use her. 1, you can switch out a Pokemon from that active slot that has all of your opponent's energy attached. This means that they're going to have to switch a Pokemon to the active slot that they probably don't want there. Either you can attack a Pokemon early that your opponent doesn't want there, you can throw off their strategy because they may need to equip energy on that Pokemon they just put into that active slot to make it retreat. There are a lot of ways to use Sabrina, but it's really great at disrupting your opponent's strategy and leading more into your strategy. You can attack a Pokemon that you want to attack rather than a Pokemon that's in that active slot. Maybe they were just utilizing a Pokemon in that active slot as cannon fodder while they set up on the bench. You can disrupt that strategy. You can put or get, hopefully, a Pokemon in that active slot that has a high retreat cost that your opponent now needs to figure out how they're going to retreat that Pokemon. It's a really great Pokemon for adding to your strategy and disrupting your opponent's strategy, which is why I love Sabrina in this deck. So you can get to cards and disrupt your opponent's strategy. And Sabrina is going to be found in the Genetic Apex Charizard packs. This is an absolutely awesome deck. I absolutely love utilizing this deck. This is a really solid and consistent deck. Having only 6 cards combined with Pokemon Communication, you're going to be able to get to the cards that you need really quickly and start getting set up. Kartana is a fantastic Pokemon to have to really get you off to the right start. By dealing 40 damage for 1 energy and no evolutions, you're going to be in a really good spot. Celesteela is fantastic because it allows you free switch-ins to that active slot. It doesn't matter what Pokemon you start with. You can start with Celesteela, Kartana, Buzzwole. It doesn't matter a whole bunch because as long as you end up drawing and getting to the card that you need, Celesteela gives you a free switch-in. So even if you have Kartana on the bench and you want it in the active slot to deal damage while you're building up energy on your Buzzwole, Celesteela is going to help you out. While opponents' Cyruses and Sabrina may allow them to attack a Pokemon that they want to attack, if you don't want that Pokemon in the active slot, you can just utilize Celesteela to pull that Pokemon out of the active slot. It's really awesome. It can save you from poison damage, which is very prominent right now. A lot of opponents are utilizing poison, whether it's Poison Barb, Nihilego, or other Pokemon that deal poison damage. It's really important. Celesteela for multiple reasons. While Celesteela is not typically going to be attacking, you may have to attack with it every once in a while if you're getting unlucky. You really don't have to attack with it. I haven't attacked with it a lot. Every once in a while, I have had to try and use it to win, but it's not often. Leaf Cape is going to increase the survivability of Kartana and Buzzwole. Lusamine is going to help you towards the end of battle if you really need to put some energy onto a Pokemon. Do so. Sabrina is going to disrupt your opponent's strategy, and Erica is going to help with the survivability of your team. I love this deck. It's an absolutely fantastic deck, and if y'all want to check it out, I definitely recommend doing so because it's an absolutely phenomenal deck. Of course, with the release of that Evolution pack that just came out, this deck can really run into some trouble with Umbreon, where Umbreon's gonna stop some of the Pokemon in their tracks. Of course, Celesteela can kind of find a way around that. If you have 2 on the playing field, you can retreat and then put back into the active slot, which is why Celesteela is so important. This is a little bit harder to win against fire decks, of course, especially Charizard decks, because of how much damage Charizard can deal. It does find it a little bit harder to defeat Charizard decks and other fire decks because they're just dealing extra damage. But this deck is really solid in general. I found a lot of success with this deck, and I absolutely love it. But let me know in the comments section what you think of this deck. Have you used something similar? What are some substitutions that you'd make in this deck that you would make it even better? Let me know in the comments section. If there's a Pokemon that you'd like to see a deck for, let me know that as well, and I will build a deck around that Pokemon. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and until next time, have a great rest of your day. Peace.